I know that I am a good teacher, but for me, the question is at what expense? What am I not exploring or not having in the rest of my life in order for me to be the good teacher that I know I can be and that I have done? I guess I'm just looking for more. Turns out when you tell people that you've just quit teaching, they have questions, and I'm going to answer them now. Okay, so a lot of people are asking why. Why did you walk away? Why? I feel this sometimes. Lots of the same kind of why. For me, I taught for 10 years, and teaching was all I ever wanted to do my whole life. When I was, I think, about 5 years old in kindergarten, I decided that that was the job for me. I used to get my little sister and I used to make her worksheets, basically comprehension worksheets based on the back of different CDs we had in the house. And then I would bribe her with bubblegum to do the worksheets I'd made. So that teacher was in me from early on. There are parts of teaching that I really enjoy. I love being creative and coming up with fun lessons and engaging kids and finding exciting ways to approach concepts. I love that side of things. I have a little bit of a perfectionist personality in some ways. I like to do things the right way. I like to meet expectations. I like to do the best I possibly can. If I say I'm going to do something, I want to do it well and I want to do it right. And so for me, teaching is extremely overwhelming. There are so many elements that go into being a good teacher. It's so much more than just showing up and teaching kids every day. And I find that means that I put a lot of pressure on myself to be a good teacher and to do a good job. And that takes time and that takes effort, and it puts a huge mental load on me. When I am in teaching and it's midterm, I just feel that is my whole life. I really don't feel that I have a lot of time for anything outside of teaching. I try not to bring work home, and that's something that I decided to do very early on in my career. So it's not necessarily that I was lacking this work-life balance. I wasn't bringing all my work home and lesson planning and marking and doing things late into the night. But it was the mental fatigue and that load that I carried around in my brain of, what do I need to do next? Have I bought these things that I need for this lesson? What about that parent that sent me a message? Have I responded to them? What about the parent that wants me to watch their kid on the playground? How am I going to find time to do that tomorrow? What about that meeting I've got? Have I done the registration for that? Where am I up to with this programming thing? That for me, and just the way my brain works and the teacher I want to be, it's a lot. It's all consuming, and I feel like teaching just becomes everything. That's why I really felt like I wanted to change. So I have other interests, I have other things that I would like to explore. And for me personally, and I know everybody's different, but for me personally, I don't feel that I could explore the things I wanted to explore while still teaching. And for some other people, they can. For some other people, they can be a teacher and they can have a side hustle, or they can be doing other things, and that's fine. For me personally, when I'm in teaching, I am all consumed by teaching. It is everything. I'm all in it. I needed a break from that. I need some space. I need some time to explore my hobbies, to explore my interests, to explore some other job and career possibilities that could be out there for me. And I just don't feel like I can do that while I'm teaching. So the next questions are kind of asking how and what will I do? And there's someone there saying that they're thinking of quitting too. I made the decision to quit without a solid plan. And I know that I am in a privileged position to be able to do that and not know exactly where I would land, but to take the jump anyway. In terms of how I've been able to step away from teaching, it's been a process and it's been a long time coming. I knew that if I decide to take this leap, I am going to be taking a huge pay drop. No matter what I end up doing, it's going to be a pay drop. There's just not jobs in my local area that pay what I was making on an AP salary. So I have been saving, putting money aside, preparing. In terms of what I'm going to be doing now, I actually have a job. I have picked up work. It was not planned, and I did not have this work in mind or set up before I let my school know that I wouldn't be returning. About probably a month after I had told my school I wasn't signing another contract and wasn't coming back to work, and maybe 3 weeks before the school year finished, I was on Facebook in a local Our Town page, and I saw a local business saying that just like everyone else, they were looking for some employees. And it happened to be my local dog boarding kennel. Now, if you've watched my last video, you would know that while I have been teaching this year, I have been studying canine remedial massage, which I am now qualified in, and I'm currently studying canine hydrotherapy. So my dream is to work with dogs. That's the space I'd love to get into. When I saw this job come up working in the local boarding kennel, I thought, this is perfect. This is the kind of industry-ish that I want to be in. This will help me build up experience. This will help me become somebody that people I go in, I get the work done, and then I go home. And the mental load that I had for teaching isn't there with this job. So I've got some income coming in, but I've still got that mental space and that mental capacity to think about other things. So I couldn't have predicted that. I didn't plan that, but it has worked out perfectly that this job just fell into my lap at the right time. This question says, how are you feeling emotionally? I feel really good. To be fair, it hasn't been that long since the school year finished, and the next school year hasn't gone back yet. So I've been saying the whole time that I don't think this will feel real until kids and teachers go back to school for 2023, and I don't. That said, I feel really positive and I'm really, really happy about the choice I've made. I know that this is something that I needed to do, and I needed to shut out the noise of everyone else and society and just everything and just think, what do I want? What do I want my life to look like? And what should I do for me right now? And for me right now, this is it. I've said it before, I may end up back in teaching. It might be 6 months, it might be a year, maybe never. But for me right now, this space, this time, this change is a really good thing for me, for my mental health, for my well-being, for just mixing things up and living my life and having fun with it. So I'm feeling really, really good about it. It feels like it's right, particularly when things fall into place. So like this boarding kennel job and just the timing of everything lining up so nicely. For me, that's feeling very much like, oh, you're on the right track and everything's going to be okay. Okay, this question was a little bit different. Advice for teachers just starting out. My first year was crazy intense. I think if you're a beginning teacher, my biggest advice is find some supportive colleagues. I think that relationship that you build with your colleagues is so important. I've had the privilege over my 10 years of working with some amazing educators and amazing people, and I think it's really helpful to have that colleague that, or a couple of colleagues that you can go to and have a little bit of a vent. I really do think talking about the things that you're struggling with or that are frustrating you just helps to take some of that mental load off and helps to lighten things. One of the biggest things for me this past year, particularly when I took on my AP role, was just learning to prioritize. What is the most important thing? What needs to get done? And that's been a learning curve for me because I want to do everything the best I can do everything. And I've just had to go, hey, no, like these lessons are the most important. This kid's need has to come over this at the moment. And then next week, this is what's the priority. Pick 3 things that are the most important for that day or that week. Do them the best you can, and then everything else will happen. Also, don't feel like you need to reinvent the wheel. I am also completely guilty of this because I want to make everything so engaging and so exciting, and but there are so many resources out there that are already done. I have had a Twinkle membership the whole time I've been a teacher. I love them. I just use their resources constantly. Teachers Pay Teachers is there. I don't love spending a lot of money on there, but $3 for a resource instead of spending 3 hours making it, that is a win. Talk to the other teachers on your stage or your year group or in your school, because I bet you they're a wealth of knowledge and they've got heaps of stuff you can use too. And reach out and have a chat with me. If you've got any questions on this, anything you want to know, I now have a lot of more time. So always up for a chat. If you're a teacher and you've got some suggestions for first year teachers or people that are finding teaching tricky or thinking about leaving, pop them in the comments. Let's support each other. Let's share with each other. I think I've mostly answered the questions. If you've got any others, pop them in the comments, because I'm totally open to talking about this. I know when I was making the decision to step away, I didn't have a lot of people who had gone before me to watch or to learn from. So I think it's a conversation that needs to be had. I really do think, I'm a millennial, and I think for my generation and the generations coming, that we're far more transient with our careers. We don't stick to things for necessarily so long. And so I find it interesting that when I have broached the topic about leaving teaching, people have been quite shocked, and I've been called brave a lot. And while I can see why, and I get that, I think we need to open up this conversation about the fact that just because you went to uni or you chose a career or you've made a decision in life, you do not have to stick with it. You can make changes. You can go in a different direction in your life at any point of time. So that's why I really want to be really clear about this. I'm hoping it'll be a positive, but as I've said before, one of the best things about teaching is that it will be there to go back to. All right, until next time, see you later, guys.